Well, what do you want me to say, man? It's football season, NFL football season for all you true football fans that are snobs about college football. Yes, I'm the golf guy. Just to remind you that I'm such the golf guy. I wore my fucking golf hat just to remind you. But you know what? I know a little bit about NFL too, and if I'm going to say I'm the high-limit DFS player that can help you be better at this shit, well, then I better spread my love to a bigger community of NFL. And we are going to be doing this little preview show probably every Tuesday will be the goal to get this out to kind of preview the week, talk about the games that we like, good games to attack, stacks to attack, likely chalk, stuff like that. But then I'm still always I'm gonna do my showdown hoedown for Monday night and Thursday night football. So if you're a big showdown guy, tune into those and check those out. And then every Saturday you can count on a final video that goes down. I will cover some basic ownership, a lot like I do for the golf live stream. So if you know how I roll with there, it's going to be very similar to that. But for this NFL season, I'm doing things a little bit different, my brother. I'm actually going to bring somebody on who has who's probably even better at DFS NFL than I am. This guy has already spiked a couple of huge GPPs last year. He's got goals to win the $1 million this year, and I think he's going to get there. So without further ado, this will be my guest on all these weekly preview shows. This is JohnGaltJD. How you doing, my brother?
That's an awesome intro. Doing well. Thanks for having me.
By the way, you got to win $1 million now that I said that. How do you like that fucking pressure?
As I was already planning on scaling back my Millie Maker exposures this season just because it's just an uber variant contest. But I guess I'm going to have to fire away again.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. If you don't max enter every single Millie Maker all year, I will call you a pansy. Now that I've gave you that intro, you have responsibilities to do it. Who cares about bankroll management and responsible decisions?
I was just going to say my bankroll is not going to be happy with me unless I bank in the first 5 or 6 weeks. But let's go.
Do they do the $100 Millie Maker all year? Or is that just like the first week and then it drops down to just a $20 Millie Maker after that usually?
Yeah, they usually switch the 5 and 100 back down to a 20, and they do the weekly 20 every week.
Gotcha. Yeah, $3,000 a week on a tournament where if you don't finish literally probably top 10, top 15, you don't even break even usually. And how often are you going to finish top 10 or top 15 in that? Not very often.
No, I think my best besides I finished third last season, and I think otherwise it was 19th was my best.
What is a third place in the Millie Maker pay?
In the $20 one last season, it was $100K in week 2.
So $100K sounds amazing, but then when you factor in and if you maxed it every week, what would that be? Roughly $3,000 to max it times what do they play? 18 weeks now, so that'd be $54,000, right? So I guess
plus also some Christmas slate or Thanksgiving slate or random 3-game slate here or playoff slate there.
So if you don't hit 100,000. Or a whole bunch of nice $10,000 ones, you're probably going to lose at the Millie Maker. So there's your first piece of advice, new guy. Stay the fuck away from that.
It is if you have the bankroll, it is the highest expected value because it is the lineup that all my stepdad's buddies are firing off lineups from their garage or the quote unquote dude firing lineups from his toilet. It is the lineup where people that literally have no chance to win it are firing off lineups. So
how many of those
if you have the roll,
go ahead.
No, if you have the roll, it's definitely huge positive expected value. It's just the highest variant tournament on the site.
I really want to get into more double ups and cash in NFL, and I keep hearing people say that it's a lot sharper when it comes to cash over there. Are any of those slapdick guys we're talking about, the dudes that go throw their $20 lineup in the Millie Maker, are any of them doing $5 cash lineups or head to heads? Is there none of those guys exist? Are they just playing GPPs?
Oh, there's plenty of casual money in low limit head-to-heads and double-ups. I think for anyone that has access to the really low limits, which I think is $3 and below head-to-heads, that's an awesome way to get some easy action. Or I don't want to say easy action because it's NFL and everyone's at least a little sharp. But to get some softer action is to play those low limit because once you play more than $1 million on DraftKings in total buy-ins, you can't play $1 to $3 or I think it's $3 or less buy-ins.
I got it. Yeah, I remember I had Osimo on the Alex Baker Osimo on the pod, and he was talking about we were talking about the best ways to be profitable at DFS, and he called it bum hunting. And honest to God, I'd never heard that term. I love it. And that's basically what bum hunting is, right? Just trying to go around and find those guys that are kind of noobs and just throwing a cash lineup in and don't even really know what cash means or what's a more optimal play.
Or even better, the guys that are just throwing their same $20 one that they're throwing in the Millie Maker, but also throwing it in some $5 head-to-heads. And then they're really throwing a lineup that makes no sense.
Right. Gotcha. All right. We look, this will last forever if we bullshit. So we will probably be talking about strategy and stuff throughout. But like, really, all this is to just preview all the games that are coming up. We're going to talk about some possible ownership, good games to attack, stacks, bringbacks, one-offs, all the good stuff. And if you're new to a lot of this stuff and you're just finding the channel, well, first of all, fucking welcome, new guy. Go drop a like and a sub. Appreciate you being here. But second of all, I know that there'll be a plethora of different types of people watching this show, from complete noobs to intermediates to I know at least 6 pros that watch my show. So I will slow down and try to not talk like such a high limit player that knows everything, because I remember when I first got into it how intimidating it'll be. So we will cater to you. Don't worry, new guy. So don't get discouraged when we say stuff we don't know, or terms that you don't know, because we'll come back to it. So without further ado, let's get going. John, this first game I want to talk about. Actually, I'm already getting ahead of myself. Do you like to look at like the lines of games? How much does that factor into your decision making on stacks and games you want to play?
Always. So one of the first things I do early in the week, so I in terms of process, is when the Vegas lines come out, I start my spreadsheet early in the week with the initial Vegas lines, both over and unders and the point total. I'm sorry, but total and the spread. And so, yeah, I keep track of it as it moves throughout the week, because really what's usually moving it is sharp money, is people spending big dollars. It's not the casual public money that's moving a spread. Usually it's high limit bettors. So I like to keep track of the movement over the week. But yeah, both the spread and the over under is definitely something I'm looking at every week.
So to me, and I always consider the over-under to be a much more important total than the total or than the spread, simply because in the NFL, almost every team is competitive against every team, right? And so I just want one where Vegas is projecting that a lot of points are going to be scored, and I don't worry about the blowout near as much as I do in, say, a college football game.
I think that's sort of right to an extent, although I think it also depends how you're going to think of game flow. So if we're talking about a game that's like this Indy-Houston game where Indy's favored by 8.5 points, like I would expect Pittman may not get a lot of action if there's an early Indy touchdown and there's really no reason to showcase Matt Ryan's new talents, or new home, I guess, same old talents, presumably. But and so that would be more like a Jonathan Taylor opportunity in a big scripted game. Whereas in like a tight game, you may not have that same concern of like running backs getting game scripted out,
Right.
Or vice versa, like the running backs for Houston getting game scripted out, or at least the feature 1 to 2 type backs getting game scripted out that you would have to worry about in a tighter spread game.
Right.
So I guess that's what I think about spread.
I gotcha. And if just to make sure I remember correct, that game has the running back that everybody loves. Dameon Pierce, right? The one that everybody keeps drafting.
Yeah, but then Burkhead, I think, will be their passing down back, right? So in that game where Houston's favored, where Indy's favored by 8.5 points, I'd almost rather play Burkhead as the passing down back, presuming they're going to be trailing, chucking the ball more than they would if that was a tight game, right?
Burkhead at 4,900. Jesus, I guess DraftKings is getting savvy and realizing that he had a fighting chance to start, or will be getting a lot of the third down action. I thought he would be like 3,400. I did not expect to see a $4,900 price tag on Burkhead.
Yeah, and so like I typically don't play 2 running backs from the same game, but that's a game where you could play a JT and Burkhead under the idea that Burkhead would be getting work when Indy is ahead and just pounding JT. Burkhead would then be getting more work as the trailing passing down back.
Right, and if you're going to play 2 running backs from the same game, you want to make sure they're different styles of running backs, right? Like in this one, you would have Jonathan Taylor as kind of the bell cow guy getting his 125 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. You don't run it back with Dameon Pierce, who's going to be the first and second down guy. You run it back with a third down guy that, presumably will be catching, garbage, whenever they're playing from behind and just catching little swing passes and stuff as the team drops back in a big shell.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. So that's like, again, where the spread comes in. It's like where I'm thinking about, how my game stacks are going to look and which players I'd be willing to include within my game stack pools.
Okay, so in a given week, sometimes you've told me you play like 20 lineups a week. Sometimes you play 150 lineups, kind of just depending on what the GPPs are dictating, right? So
usually depending on how much I've got going in my life. I'm a Panthers season ticket holder, so if I'm going to the game, I usually play less. And on weeks that the Panthers are away or I've sold my tickets or given them away, I play more.
wow, that is the most degen answer I've ever heard. Actually, maybe that's not. I feel like a true degen would play despite the game. But you really, if
I still play my 20.
but you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not home during that time, checking afternoon injuries, checking your lineups. Because if your lineups get off to a slow start, or if you play a stack that's not a very popular stack and it goes ham in the early games, that really makes you kind of reconsider your lineup, and you may need a late swap to some different players in the afternoon. And when you're sitting at a Panthers game cheering on your team, you can't really do that effectively.
But you can, and but I do. So I usually play lineups. That's why I only play 20, because I can manage them. I know already ahead of time kind of what my late swap strategy is going to be into, and that's definitely something we can talk about when we break down like individual slate strategies and roster construction and things like that. If I'm only playing a 20 set or even a smaller set, and I'm not a full MME set, or even in a full MME set, I usually have kind of a general idea of what my late swap strategy is. And I admittedly am usually only late swapping, especially when I'm at Panthers games, to like my most profitable lineup. So if I have lineups that are doing well, I'll usually late swap, or any of my lineups in like high dollar stuff, I'll use my late swap. But those are lineups I usually already have a plan ahead of time of like, if this happens, I'm going to late swap this way. And if this doesn't happen, like basically if I've played chalk early or not chalk early, if that hits or doesn't hit, I'm either pivoting or not pivoting based on those 1:00 games. So usually at 3:30, I'll be still at the Panthers game, sitting in my seats. I'm sure the people around me think it's hilarious, but I'm usually checking all of my high dollar rosters, seeing what has happened in the games, who's gone off in the early games and who hasn't. And then I'm making my late swaps based on that. And I usually carry a pad of paper with me that's kind of got my notes of what my plans are.
Some pretty nerdy shit, sir. Pretty.
But I still want to be able to gamble, right?
So
but I also am a diehard Panthers fan.
So if I'm like Carson, like if I have this sick ass Carson Wentz stack that I'm gonna play week 1, that's gonna be legit, like product ownership will probably be like 0.001%. I don't know if another person will play this stack. And for whatever reason, Carson Wentz goes off, and I get a great comeback, bring it back with Christian Kirk, and that game goes off, then tell me if I'm right or wrong on this. I'm going to go into the afternoon, and I'm going to go play every fucking chalky guy I can.
The only problem with that is you have a 4:00 stack. Your Derek Carr stack is a 4:00 game.
Right. Well, no. I said Carson Wentz.
Oh, I'm sorry. I in my brain I heard Derek Carr, and I was ready to cheer on Derek Carr.
Derek Carr. That would be people will stack Derek Carr with fucking Devontae Adams. I got one that nobody's gonna play.
Stack. So we're stacking Wentz and for the football team, or not the football team. What's their name now? The Commanders.
Commanders.
Okay, I'm back on the same page now. Yes, no one will play that disgusting vomit stack. All right,
I will. I know one guy that will. And then in the afternoon, when that hits, when it's the nuts play, there's all these great afternoon games that are going to be super chalky. Then I just go toss in Eckler, and I go throw in Ertz, and I go throw in, whoever, and I'm gold. I'm gold because my Wentz stack got there, and I'll have all the salary in the world because all those guys are cheap as hell.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you still need those guys to hit a big field, but that's how you box out a large portion of the field. Like if you have your main stack hit and then you pivot to the chalk, unless another low-owned stack hits, you pretty much can't get passed by anything but someone hitting the square nuts.
It's the best when like you see that like you're setting like top 5 in a GPP, and there's a guy right behind you who's like 0.3 behind, and he has the exact same amount of quarters as you do, and you go check and you've got the exact same guy. You're both on the last guy, and you've got him boxed out by 0.3. It's the best feeling in the world. Best feeling in the world.
Yeah,
by the way,
so
new guy, box out. You need it. Hey, I told you I'd walk you through this. A box out is just whenever you basically already have somebody can't pass you simply because you have the same players left they have, and you already have more points than them. So it's literally impossible for their guys to outscore your guys because you got the same ones. So that example I just gave, that is how you box somebody out. And if you hit a stack early in the day, you can go get on chalk guys in the afternoon. You get on chalk guys in the afternoon, they're chalk, so a lot of people are going to have them. You'll be able to box out a lot of people from jumping and passing you.
Exactly. And then you want to do the opposite. If you're playing early and you miss on either chalk or low-owned players, if you miss generally in the early, you need to be pivoting to low-owned guys. You can no longer be playing almost any chalk if you didn't hit early. So if you if you're not coming out feeling good after the 1:00 games, like the only way to kind of salvage, and admittedly, I should be doing it more on my lower dollar stuff and lineups that haven't already smashed, because that's how you can salvage a min cash, right? If you played some stuff early, it didn't go well, but you pivot to some low owned guys and they smash in the 4:00 slate, you can still salvage some min cash and jump over some of the, some chalk that doesn't do well in the 4:00 slate. And still salvage some min cash and make your bankroll go a little farther.
Mock Lovin was playing in some of the higher level contests last NFL season, and he, I didn't know it. I was at the top of the leaderboard all day, so I was living at the top of the leaderboard. I was winning 100,000 going late into the fourth quarter of the last game, and then he had these two lineups that just surged all the way to the top. I hadn't noticed him all day, and he ended up getting first and second place. I think it was $250,000 and 125,000 first and second. And all he did is he went in and late swap because his early guys didn't really do much. They were all pretty average, but he went and did a triple stack with Eckler, Herbert, and Mike Williams. And it was that one game where they all had like 35-plus points. Can't remember who they were playing. It was pretty early in the season. It was like week 2 or week 3 against the Seahawks or somebody like that. Just those three just all went crazy. And he ended up going from just probably a min cash lineup to a late swapped and literally got first and second in the GPP.
Yeah, late swap is huge. Like I said, I usually have a plan for it, and I make my plan for late swapping ahead of time. And that's something we'll talk about in our video for the Discord sub, because it is like a large part of my strategy, just having like a general idea of what my late swap strategy is. And so it's things like I'm looking at there are the salary ranges for guys that I'm playing early versus guys I'm playing late. It doesn't do me any good to have a 5K guy early that I'm trying to swap, and then I'm like my only salary options that I can swap into are 7K guys. Well, I can't make a swap at that point, so I don't have any options. So making sure that you have options for late swap and then kind of thinking through what those options are is really important, especially if you're playing small field, big dollar.
Yeah, exactly. So he definitely mentioned that we have a Discord over there. It's my Discord, but John's helping me run the NFL part of it because he's one of the best players in the world at it, and he can drop some truth on people. So if you're interested in joining the Discord, it'll be the description is down in the it'll be in the description of this video. You can come join it. There's like almost 300 people over there. It's a pretty badass community. So come check it out. John, here's what we're going to do. We're going to run through all these games one by one, and I just want you to tell me if there's any stacks you like, any one-offs, or if you're just kind of staying away from that game. And if there's a stack, I assume you probably have a run back. So let's just go through them. Let's try to spend no more than like 2 minutes a game, okay? Because it's just a week preview, right? We're still, 6 days? Is it Monday? Yep. Yeah, Monday. It's a fucking holiday, and we're just sitting here grinding right now. All right, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Like or dislike this game, just in general?
I don't love this game because I don't love Pittsburgh this season. I think they will kind of roll over and die in a lot of games. So I can't see their offense doing anything to carry their burden, and since they should roll to an easy win. So for that reason, I probably wouldn't play a whole lot of anyone, and I probably would just be playing one-offs, if anything, in this game from the Bengals.
I'm 100% with you. This isn't a good game to stack. I mean, Joe Burrow, if you want to go if you went Burrow, Higgins, and Chase, first of all, that's a very expensive stack. And second of all, they would have to be so hyper efficient in a game that I don't think that they're going to score more than, probably 28 points. You basically need perfection for them to kind of reach their ceiling. I don't see any real shootout potential in this game. So because of that, I would almost mark all those guys off. And if I were going to play a one-off, I'd probably play Mixon and just hope that they kind of just run the ball down their throat in the second half.
Yeah, along those lines, if I was going to stack the Bengals side of this, a Burrow stack at all, I would put Mixon in my Burrow stack.
Yeah.
I think I would have a
Burrow
Mixon and one pass catcher.
Yeah, maybe Higgins to save the money. And I can't imagine Higgins will be as popular as Chase will be.
Well, one thing we'll see as we go through the slate, you'll need to save money at some point, but money shouldn't be a huge issue on this slate. The pricing, and DraftKings does it every year. Well, week one pricing is soft.
Yeah, I mean, just seeing Jamar Chase at 7,100 is almost like sticker shock at how cheap he is. Like, if I wouldn't have never saw the price, I would have assumed 8,300. That would have just been my initial instinct.
And you'll see that on like CMC is cheap, and all the guys. This is the cheapest you'll see most of these guys all season.
Right. So let's check out. Let's move to the second game. So that game we didn't love a lot of people. It's just not a game I really want to attack. I'm only doing about 20 lineups, so I'll probably play 2 or maybe 3 stacks, and then I'll have some little correlated mini stacks, and then I'll probably have about 5 or 6 one-offs that I play. So that's just not one of the games I'll be looking at. So that's it for me. All right, San Francisco and Chicago. What do you think about this one?
So I'm a little more excited about the Chicago side of the ball, and I think Eli Mitchell's good to go. So I think 5,400 Eli Mitchell kind of sounds pretty sexy. I want to see his ownership. It's still a week away from games, but Eli Mitchell at 5,400 interests me. I'm not super interested in the rest of the Niners offense. That's a team that's going to have to show it to me. That pass attack led by Trey Lance. Devo said he's going to play less running back. That's a show it to me offense. In best ball, that's an offense I've been fading a lot. So, obviously.
How dare you, sir? I got my best ball lineup tabs right up here. I was just got done drafting 3 lineups before this, and I have way too much Brandon Ayuk. And I got to tell you, as high as I am on Brandon Ayuk, I don't want anything to do with this game. If I were going to play somebody from this game, I would play Elijah Mitchell, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I would play the Chicago side of the ball, so I'm not against playing the Chicago side of the ball, although I think the Niners will probably have a pretty good defense. Yeah. So it probably wouldn't be a stack I would love, but I'm not super against playing some of the
Did you see this team total, though? I mean, what's the team what's Chicago's team total? 7 minus 41 is 34, so 17. Yeah. They got a 17-point implied total. That is horrific. Yeah. That is horrific.
And so going back to how I look at it, that is kind of the initial screener I look at is kind of how the implied team totals break down for each team. Yeah. And looking at an implied team total of 17, I'm almost never playing anyone from a team with an implied team total of 17. 20 is kind of the lowest I'll ever look at it. I mean, I don't want to make any hard and fast rules, but as a general rule, I'm not looking at any player on a team with an implied team total of less than 20.
Hey, new guy, if you want to know how I did that, if you want to know how to come up with team totals really simply, just take the line, whatever the underdog is, subtract it from the total. So from this one, I just said it was 41 was the total. I subtracted 7. 41 minus 7 was 34. You divide that in 2, it was 17. The underdog's always going to be that number. So that's how I knew Chicago has a 17.25 team total. And I'm really good at math.
And then just take the total minus that 17, and that'll tell you San Francisco's implied
which
team total.
Which would be 24.5.
Yep. So there you go. That's their implied team totals. Yep. So again, I'm not looking to play players from 20 team totals. So I'm probably out on the Bears as a general rule.
By the way, if you're wondering what the hell this website is we're on here, this is called Run the Sims, and me and John, we both swear by it. We're both very high limit players when it comes to this stuff, and this is one of the biggest tools I use. I've been very happy with it last year. I had a lot of success. They'll have ownership in here as it gets closer. You can look, you can put in your own customized numbers. It'll run the simulations for you, so you can get an idea of how much a guy is going to be in optimal play versus how much he's going to be owned, and then you have some real knowledge about if that's a good play. Because if a guy's only optimized maybe 5% of the time, he's going to be 20% owned. Well, that's a terrible play. But if he's going to be 20% optimized and he's only going to be 5% owned, well, then that's a fucking smash play that you got to attack. That's what you can do here at Run the Sims. You can make your own customized Sims. DGen75, 10% off if you want it. DEGEN75, 10% off. I promise you won't regret it. If you take fantasy football serious, I don't know how you could not be using it.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about Run the Sims, and I'll make some other videos kind of showing everything that they offer in here, or we'll make some more videos. But it is a killer piece of software that just came out last season and will just keep getting better. Justin Freeman runs it, and the dude is committed to making this site like the best resource out there for DFS players.
And we all know that if there's a site I don't like, I don't mind sharing my opinion on that. I will shit on a site that sucks. It's part of the brand. I keep it real. And Run the Sims is badass. There you go. So moving on here. This is a game. I see this 41-point team total, 41.5 in the Cleveland-Carolina game. I got takes.
Yeah,
you go first. You go first. It's your team.
Well, so I try not to be a homer, especially in gambling generally. I cheer for my team, but I tend not to gamble on my team. That said, we've got a 22 implied total for my Panthers, which isn't absolutely disgusting. We have Baker wanting to show his former team, he would love to put his nuts on the table, right? Yep. And so part of me thinks a Vomit Baker stack is like a viable option. And so that's something that is at least on my radar as I'm moving into like narrowing my options this week. I am not immediately nixing a Vomit Baker stack. I mean, like a Baker DJ Moore stack at 5,300 for Baker and 6,000 for DJ Moore just kind of sounds like the nuts. And then I guess I'd need one more pass catcher there. So
you wouldn't want to throw McCaffrey in that stack. That's one of the McCaffrey's
one.
Of those,
there you go.
Yeah, I mean that would be those are the first 3 names I thought of, like a DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, Baker Mayfield. I could see a path to where they all get at least 25 points.
CMC at 8,500. He will never be 8,500 again this season. Guaranteed, he will be 9K plus the rest of the season.
Right. If he's not 100%, if he's not 100% owned in cash, just I don't know what's going on. I have no interest. You know what, I say that Nick Chubb at 6,500 seems okay, but I don't know. I just hate paying. I don't want a $6,500 running back that will probably only get 60% of the snaps.
I'd rather play Hunt at 5,700 under the trailing game script and under lower ownership, presumably.
Now, have you seen the numbers? Does Hunt get all their third down work? I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know that number.
So last season, and I'm going to, I guess, talk on my ass without actually looking at the number. But yes, I would say Hunt was their passing down and third down back last season.
Okay. Yep. And that's where that guy has a fucking nose for the end zone, too. That guy finds the end zone. Like him and LaDainian Tomlinson. They just always find the end zone.
And honestly, D'Ernest Johnson is good too. So there was all rumors that Hunt was going to get dealt at some point in the offseason, and he never ended up getting traded. So
who's Carolina's tight end?
Well, we have a rotating option. It's my sister-in-law's
Tommy
neighbor. Tommy Tremble. He's my sister-in-law's neighbor. Very nice guy. And then we had another kid. What happened to him? I can't think of his name. Oh, Ian Thomas. Yes.
Yeah, I've seen some people drafting him.
I would rather have Tommy. They gave Tommy more looks at the end of last season.
I will say putting him in my my DFS lineup kind of scares me. It makes me tremble. No? Okay. Moving on. I've been saving that one. I had that ready all day. We're going to keep moving along. I got to tell you, not many of these games are tickling my fancy so far. Like I keep wanting to
coming up.
Oh yeah, I can already see the ones I'm eyeballing. I have a feeling they're going to be different than the ones you're eyeballing. Baltimore
we're looking at some right hammers.
All right, Baltimore and the Jets. What's our current status for Zach Wilson? Is there any chance he's back for Week 1?
They said a decision would come in September. Was the only thing I've seen because I've been on the best ball streets and that's
okay. So when I saw that tweet about I had a dream that Joe Flacco won somebody $1 million, that's because right now he's the presumed starter there in New York.
Yeah, I have a feeling he will be the starter this week.
Man, that makes me like them so much less. I feel like Joe Flacco is such a game manager that like I feel like the game is so much less likely to turn into a shootout with him at quarterback, whereas like Zach Wilson does have some shootout potential in him.
Yeah, that's totally fair, especially if they're trying to showcase this new offense Jets that, evidently he's got some life in him. On this one, honestly, I like the Ravens side of the ball more.
You think Dobbins going to play? Have we seen an injury update on him?
So I've been drafting him a lot more, and his ADP is going up a lot more in best ball.
I took him in all 3 drafts today
for Week 1, but I think like he's trending towards being available and like looking like he might be their stud ready to go.
At 5,600 though, I mean, I don't know. If he were 4,500, I'd take that risk, but 56 for a guy that like even if he is healthy, let's face it, he's going to play maybe 60% of the snaps, and that's being super optimistic. I don't know. I just feel like there's better spots there than to get on J.K. Dobbins.
I'd probably rather play Lamar and Mark Andrews.
Okay, so if you're going to run a Lamar stack, would you ever run him with 2 pass catchers?
I don't want to say never, but no. Almost never.
Yeah.
It would have to be 2 cheaper pass catchers, like Lamar at 6,800, and then someone like cheap. Like
you'd have like maybe a Bateman and Duvernay or something. But that's gross. Like that's a really gross stack. That's gross.
It would have to be a low dollar because you just have to think like that volume of passing in order to pay off and hit ceilings for both those guys is hard on 2 expensive guys, on someone that just doesn't throw a lot of pass.
I'll tell you this. If I'm playing Lamar Week 1, I'm stacking him with Bateman because I think Bateman has like breakout potential this year. And that $5,300 price tag at wide receiver is so much easier to eat than $6,800 at tight end. When you put a $6,800 tight end in there, it really changes what the rest of your lineup looks like big time.
Oh, yeah, and you need 20 points at minimum from Andrews or you've sunk that lineup. That's the thing. It is an aggressive lineup build.
And, as a guy that plays way too much Andrews because I'm an OU whore, I will tell you, Mark Andrews gets a disproportional amount of his points from like 3 or 4 spike weeks a year and isn't a consistent 8 catches, 75 yards kind of guy every week.
Well, so I guess that would almost be a reason to play him in DFS GPPs, especially on weeks where his ownership is low.
Yep.
So like you want guys in big field tournaments that have spike weeks. Like I'd rather play someone where their range of outcomes is 0 to 35.
Well, don't you remember Derrick Henry last year when he went for like 50 points against maybe that was against the Seahawks too. He went
that
for
was
like
week 2, and that was the week I almost won the Millie Maker. I was literally cheering on Derrick Henry fucking in my living room. Yes.
He was fucking someone in your living room and you were cheering it on?
No. I was cheering him on, making the fucking motion in my living room, cheering him on.
I got you. Okay. I thought maybe you knew some
so
people.
Funny. That lineup was just all Flames going into the second half, except for Derrick Henry, who only scored 5 points going into the second half. And I told my wife, I'm like, this lineup can actually do something if Derrick Henry can start fucking in the second half. And homeboy put up 45 points in the second half.
Dude, it was like every time he touched the ball, it was like a video game. He was just like gone to the house. Yeah.
I didn't check my phone. I was just like goofing off with the family, doing stuff. We weren't even watching football. And I look over at my phone, and the update I have from Yahoo Fantasy is Derrick Henry's 70-yard touchdown run. And I was like, oh, shit, honey.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he was about 5% owned that week, too. Got Derrick Henry at 5% owned going for 50 points, and no one played him. What a game.
Yep.
All right, moving along. Another game that just like 2 years ago, this would have been everybody's wet dream game. You've got the Saints and the Falcons. Now it's almost like this is a defensive slugfest. How the tables have turned in 2 years.
Yeah, I'm actually really interested in watching this game. So I love to I watch every single game. I have an all-access subscription. If you don't have an all-access subscription, you should check them out. They're not giving us a kickback, so we don't have a referral code, but damn, it's worth $1,000 a year. You can watch every game in 30 minutes without ads, without the huddle, without the bullshit. It's awesome. So anyways, I watch every game. This is a game I'm super looking forward to watching, sped up. But in terms of DFS play, I'm probably not going to play because I'll play less this week. Panthers have a home game. We open, as you just saw, versus the Browns at home. So I'm only going to play 20 lineups this week. And also week 1 in general is not my favorite for DFS. I know a lot of people can make a slat killing this week, but it's just it's harder from a projection standpoint. We just haven't seen these teams play. But in terms of seeing what teams do, this is a game I can't wait to watch. I can't wait to see what Jameis looks like in this offense. They've been efficient in the preseason, the little they've been out there. And then the Falcons with Mariota, we haven't seen Mariota except for that one slate where he ruined Showdown and some Muppet won $1 gazillion when he came in for Carr.
I will. I got 2 for you here. I got 2, and they're both one-offs. I like Kyle Pitts just at that price tag. I feel like he has elite upside week 1, and I think he's a shoo-in for at least 8 targets. Wouldn't surprise me if he got up to a dozen. So I'm interested in Kyle Pitts, but he would be naked because there's no way I'm stacking Kyle Pitts with Marcus Mariota. Get the fuck out of here. And then the other one, I'm going to come at you here. I don't normally do one-offs on defense, but I would be pretty interested in the Falcons defense just because Jameis Winston doesn't mind turning the ball over.
Oh, Jameis can throw some picks. So I guess let me throw you some $5 Millie Maker ideas. In the $5 Millie Maker, to the extent I play it, I'll fire at least 20 of my 150 Mariota stacked with Pitts or if London's healthy, London.
I like that.
I'll only do a single stack on Mariota because I think Mariota does have some rushing upside.
He can't. He's like Hurts. You can't stack him with 2 pass catchers. Same thing with Lamar. I just don't think they pass enough to let 2 receivers get there.
Exactly. So his team total is only 18, and it's kind of gross to think about. But it's week 1. If Vegas, Vegas normally is the nuts, right? You will lose if you question just blindly Vegas, week over week. But if you're ever going to question Vegas, week 1's the week to do it, right? They're making as much of guess as we are, and slightly more educated and certainly more crowdsourced than we are, but still they're making a guess. And so I think in terms of vomit stacks, I sort of like the Mariota Pitts vomit stack and hope Pitts catches a touchdown or 2, Mariota runs 1 or 2 in. I mean,
John, I've got bad news for you. The best vomit stack is the game we're talking about next. It's the best. It's the sneakiest game on the entire slate. It's this Jacksonville versus Washington game. And I love it. I love everything about it. This will be the number 1 game I stack. Might I go down in flames? Yeah, but I don't give a fuck because no one else is going to be stacking it. I literally saw some guy the other day on Twitter talking about this being a sneaky week 1 shootout game. I was like, shut the fuck up, man. don't get people on this yet. Way too many followers to be putting this out in the ether. I would be so happy running a Lawrence ETN, Kirk stack, and then happily running it back with like a Terry McLaurin, or even like, if you really want to get spicy, like JD McKissick or something like that. And I don't even think Evan Ingram's a bad play. I think Evan Ingram's like a first round talent that's never progressed. And then I could run it the other way. I could go with a Wentz, JD McKissick. You know what? I think Wentz could probably support McLaurin and Dotson getting there. Dotson's only 3,400. Are you fucking kidding me? Jesus.
Dude, Dotson I'm super excited about. There's a couple rookies this season that I'm just drafting a disproportional amount in best ball that I'm so excited about. And I know that's because I'm biased against last year. I was so amped on a few rookies, and two of them, KJ Osborne and now I can't even think who the other one was. Oh, Rondell Moore were the rookies that won me or almost won me the Millie Maker, but won me the slant last season. And so I think there's a huge edge to playing rookies early. Their ownership is going to be artificially low. And so, yeah, I'm huge on rookies early in the season.
So would you run a stack either way in this game? Or like, I think Lawrence is definitely good enough to get 2 receivers there, at least the way I'm projecting him. And I think Wentz could probably get at least 1.5 receivers there.
Yeah, I would include ETN in the pass catchers, and I think it depends on what Robinson's going to do. But yeah, I would probably include ETN in my pass catchers because he will get designed pass opportunities for
Have
him.
you heard anything about James Robinson? Like, I thought he was on track to play week 1.
Yeah, that's what his update said, is on track to play week 1. But I don't know how they're going to use him. It seems like ETN's got all the camp buzz, and he's been the one that's been healthy all through camp. And so even if the goal is for Robinson to play week 1, is it like for him to be available to spell ETN because ETN's the one that's been getting the reps in camp? He's the one that's like buddies with Lawrence. I don't know.
I think out of 100 best ball lineups, I took ETN like once because I refused to take him in the 3rd or 4th round. So maybe I play him week 1 DFS to offset that a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair. I pretty much always take James Conner if I'm taking a running back in that range. I prefer Conner so much more in that range in best ball.
Right. Okay, we kind of skipped over this game. I'm coming back to it.
Well, so I wanted to say, you started to get me all hot and excited when you started saying you love the next game, and then you jumped right over this game, because I was going to say Davis Mills at this. I know his only 18 team total, but Davis Mills can chuck.
Yeah, I mean, and he's like a very easy guy to stack with, because I think that to me, maybe I'm wrong, but like, who the hell is he going to target other than Cooks and Collins? Like, who else is he going to throw to? Maybe
Brevin Jordan.
The tight end, of course, Brevin Jordan. Yeah. I mean, like,
I like that stack so much as a trailing chucking stack, and then playing
Jonathan Taylor as the bring back. And then Pittman, though, like, Pittman's like going to be fringe wide receiver 1 this year. I know this isn't a great game script for him, but God, he only has to catch 5 passes for 80 yards and a touchdown, and he's kind of a smash play at 5,500, is he not? You don't even think he can get those numbers?
Do it in the first quarter or first half at least.
Yeah, that's a good point. And and a wide receiver, you really need those guys with 30-point upside, and it's going to be really hard for Pittman to get the 30 points when they basically are only throwing slants in the second half.
Yeah, I want a tight game for my wide receivers.
Exactly.
More often than not.
Yeah. So okay, so that's a sneaky one. So man, we are all over the sneaky stack. So you're putting
this
Pitts.
Next game,
Our Mills.
This next game is going to be over-owned, I fear, and I can't wait to run some ownership numbers and see what it looks like. But this next game is sexy.
Are we talking Philly, Detroit, right?
Oh yeah.
This is the hard knocks. This is the hard knocks. It's going to be hard knocks inflated. Everybody's been watching Hard Knocks.
Ownership will be high because people are big on the Lions this season from Hard Knocks, and people are high on the Eagles coming in on this offense this season.
You know what? If I were going to get some action on this game, like if I were going to get some, which if it's not chalky, I'm all about it. But I just have a feeling this will be definitely the chalkiest game, certainly, of all the noon games.
Yeah, there's a 4:00 game that'll beat it for sure.
Yeah, but of the early games, this will definitely be the one that gets stacked. And if I wanted to get some action on this game without eating a ton of chalk, what would you just think about a naked Miles Sanders or a naked St. Brown?
Yeah, I'm not against that at all. I actually have like way too much Sanders in best ball, so I'm down with Sanders. I think he's like, and honestly, I like, because I think the shootout potential is here. This is one that would be good for like a mini game stack, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't going to play either of the quarterbacks, you could actually play just Sanders and St. Brown, just those two.
That's called a mini correlation, right? You go have your big game. Like, let's say you go over here, and we were just talking about stacking. So you go Davis Mills, you got Jonathan Taylor, you got Brevin Jordan, and you've got Cooks over here from this game. Then you come back over here and you give your other running back spot to Miles Sanders and another one of your wide receiver spots to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and now you have 6 correlated players out of your 9.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like that's the art of correlation. Like it doesn't all have to be one game, because you don't want to have 7 guys from one game. That's fucking stupid, especially in a big scale GPP. You probably want to have 4 at the absolute most, 5 from one single game. So I usually like to do 3 or 4 from my main game and then have 1 or 2 other complementary stacks. And what is this complementary stack? Well, what we're talking about right here with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Miles Sanders running it against each other.
That's exactly right.
So that's look. I told you. Some of you are like, "Why are you explaining this to me?" I fucking know this. I get it, but not everybody does. Big guy, calm down. So this game, I like it. There's a lot of guys I like in this game, but I will tell you this right now. This is the problem people are going to make. Jalen Hurts has 3 very legitimate targets in A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. I know this. Once again, Boomer Sooner. How many fucking Sooners are we going to talk about on this show? He cannot support that many mouths. He cannot feed that many mouths. He can't even feed 2 of those mouths. So if you go play Jalen Hurts and you want to stack him, I'm telling you, just stack him with one person. Pick one of those 3 that you think he's going to get it to and do it. Because I feel very strongly that there's no way he can get Brown and Smith to 25 points and also get himself to 25 points. There's just no way.
Yeah, that's the problem with overstacking someone for sure.
Yeah. And usually a good rule is I'm not going to stack 2 wide receivers with a quarterback unless that quarterback is a fucking statue that just sits back there and chunks the rock all game like Tom Brady or somebody like that.
Yeah, and honestly, in DFS, I'm mostly trying to avoid those quarterbacks as a general rule.
Right. I mean, it is a great rule. The rushing points are like such the hidden value of DFS. I mean, 1 rushing touchdown, when a quarterback runs a 15-yard, like a scampers for 15 yards and runs it in for a touchdown, that's 7.5 points. That's the exact same as him throwing a 75-yard touchdown pass, right? It gets you the exact same amount of points. It's insane.
They just can't be matched. Those rushing points, the ceilings are just unparalleled on a rushing quarterback versus a non-rushing quarterback.
Right.
But also at a certain point, like their salaries also are inflated for that reason, and so that's the trade-off you make every week. Anyways,
yeah. I will say, if there's ever 2, I've never played a quarterback naked, like ever, outside of college football. But like if I were ever going to do it, it would be somebody like Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson or somebody. But even then, they're usually good enough to support 1 target getting optimal type numbers.
Yeah, I'm almost never naked, or I
don't think it's an optimal play at all to be completely naked. I did play a naked college football lineup with Tagovailoa this last weekend, and that worked out well.
All right.
But, that was also cash, so who gives a fuck? Like he passes it around so much. I only say that because I got 2 up on the screen right now. This game, I'm very warm on this game. Do you have hot takes on New England versus Miami?
So I think New England's offense is going to be mediocre. I'm not super high on it, and I think their defense is going to be pretty good, but I think Miami's offense will be pretty good too. So I'm guessing you like the Dolphins side of the ball?
I do. And if, I'm telling you, Ramondre Stevenson, maybe I'm getting too cute one to play in week 1, but Jesus, he is a running back 1 in the NFL if he could just ever get consistent touches. Just go look at how productive he is on the few number of touches that he gets. I would love nothing more to run a Tua, Tyreek, stack and run it back with Stevenson. That would be like my dream situation, but I just don't know. I just can't trust New England to get Stevenson there, especially at 5,500, because 5,500 is not exactly a punt price. So
yeah, I want to see how they're going to split carries, because I think Harris is probably, as long as he's healthy early season, I think he'll get the shot to be the dude.
He will. He will.
Down. So I'm concerned about that split. Now, I've drafted a ton of Ramondre in best ball because I think he's got tons of contingent value if anything happens to old man Harris, and or just generally.
Isn't Damian Harris like 26? Why are you calling him old man Harris?
Anyone running back years that's basically done it more than 4 seasons is an old man.
God, I don't even know if he's been in the NFL for 4 seasons. It doesn't seem like he has. Didn't they just draft him 3 years ago?
Well, I apologize if he's not in his 4th season or more.
I mean, I get your point. But I guess when I say I loved it, I'm warm to this game, is I'm warm to this being a shootout type environment. Like, first of all, in Miami, there's just always those nice shootout games. I know it's not in the Dome, but it's pretty close down there in Miami.
Beautiful weather.
And like, I really like a lot of the big play weapons in this game. Problem is it's not so clear who's going to get the volume. And when that's not clear, it's not that easy to play a shootout game.
So if I were betting on a Dolphin to get the early touchdowns in this game, or at least the early chances to get touchdowns in this game, I would want to put my money on Tyreek. They spent a lot of money to get him. They're going to spend a lot of money to keep him there and keep him happy. You've already seen like the off-season highlights of them working together. I would imagine in their like initial slate of plays, there is a let Tyreek streak and throw him the ball play, like in their early repertoire. So in like their scripted 20, I'd imagine there is a let Tyreek score play.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got it right here. This game right here, Green Bay versus Minnesota, is my favorite game on the slate. Not because I think it will necessarily be the highest scoring, but because I think it will be the highest scoring relative to the ownership that will be out there. I think that, it's the fourth highest total on the slate, so it's not going to jump off the screen. It's a good 5.5 points behind the KC Arizona game. And to me, the thing I like the absolute most about this is it seems very clear who the volume will go through in this game. And that's what I like. I like shootouts where I know that the volume is going to be concentrated.
Minnesota is super condensed, and I like them as a sneaky offense that's like good. I don't think there's anything that says Green Bay is going to be good defensively this season, particularly after last season. So their defense will let up some points, and then as long as Rodgers can do his part, this game does have shootout all over it.
What do you think about it? What do you think about a Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook stack and bring it back with Allen Lazard?
So the only reason I probably wouldn't stack Dalvin in that stack is Dalvin. Well, it depends on what they the rumor is he's going to get more passes this season. But I would probably prefer a Cousins with 3 or 2 true pass catchers rather than a running back. So, but I do like
Jefferson Thielen, or do you like Irv Smith, the tight end? Because he would be pretty nice to have.
You could do Irv, or you could even do KJ Osborne. Although 4,900 KJ Osborne, you might as well spend 5,400 on Adam Thielen, honestly.
Absolutely.
I'll just the only reason to do different there would just be the ownership, because I'm guessing Osborne will be.
Who would you target from Green Bay? I'm all in on Allen Lazard. I literally already have thousands of dollars invested in him just from best ball. So I guess I'll just go ahead and go down with the ship here in DFS too. Who would you like to run it back with Green Bay? Because I'm
actually sort of excited to see how Aaron Jones is used. Everything that like writers are saying is he's effectively going to be a wide receiver / running back this season, and AJ Dillon will be the true running back. So
more like a Cordell Stewart type, or not Cordell Stewart. I keep saying that, Cordell Patterson.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how he's used, because I think he has the opportunity just to be a game changer. And I'm like starting to get scared at my exposure in best ball too, because I almost always have just been sliding right by him.
I have zero of Jones or Dillon. If I would have known what you were saying. Although Dillon at 5,300 is very appealing if he really is going to be. I mean, all he has to do is get 2 catches, rush for 80 yards and 1 rushing touchdown, and that's a huge play for 5,300.
Yeah, and I honestly think he's going to get the predominant running back role, with Aaron Jones doing like a hybrid running back wide receiver role. So I'm like somewhat interested in Aaron Jones, but again, this is one I'm like early in the season. If I'm only playing a limited number of lineups, I probably am not going to get there unless the ownership is just super low.
What about a Rodgers, Jones, Lazard stack? Run it back with Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean that works all day, I think.
Yeah, I actually kind of like that. I'm a Justin Jefferson slut. That guy, he was I think it was week 2 last year when he was he playing the Seahawks? Maybe that was week 3. And I just needed him to get 25 points. I was going to win the 100,000. He had me 26 points by the third quarter. But then that was that was the week that maybe Henry went off, and then I ended up falling to third in that contest and only got like 20,000. Yeah, son of a bitch. Okay, moving on. 3 games left, and 2 of them are pretty big. This Chargers versus Raiders game. People love to play Chargers in afternoon games. God, they're always so popular. And this 52-point team total. I mean, you got to like this game, right?
If the Raiders can do their part, which I think they probably can. We'll see what Devontae looks like on this team, but if they can do their part, this game could be an absolute shootout.
This is a game every week. There's like that one game where everybody's like, "This will be the game you got to stack," and I just always fade it for better or worse. I do it, and I'm thinking, even with all these weapons and everything, I think this might just be the one game I fade. Just completely fade it because I think between this one and the KC game, those will be the two highest owned games, right?
And that KC game coming up is the one I was going to say is that's going to be my game that I won't be fading.
You can't.
Almost sure. I don't want to say I won't be fading. I want to see what the ownership is, but that KC game I am almost certain will be, if I'm playing 20 lineups, it'll be 10 of them, if not more.
So here's the point I'm trying to make. I'm too scared to fade the KC game too. And if I've already committed to playing the KC Arizona game, then I can't play this one too. At some point, like, you can't just go play every chalky game stack. You're going to have to pick and choose your battles. So this is why 100%. I'm fading this one. And the reason why, and this is going to sound really stupid, I just think there's so many talented people in this game that are going to get their fantasy points that I'm just going to hope that maybe the game stays a reasonable score, 28-24 or something like that, which is basically what the implied totals are, and that all of those points just kind of get evenly distributed among all these very talented players. Whereas in the KC Arizona game, with injuries and free agency, I feel like it's going to be a lot more concentrated on who gets those points.
That's definitely a way to attack a game that you think is going to be chalky. Another way I like to attack a game that I think is going to be chalky is to look at where the ownership is going in that game and then playing this game, because I like this game as a substack, is playing this game as a substack in areas that aren't going to be popular. So if everyone's decided Devontae is going to be showcased in this game, like, why not play Waller coming off his contract dispute? Like, he's healthy. He's just bitching about his contract at 5,400. Or why not play Renfro? I mean, he was the man all last season. If Devontae gets doubled, no reason Renfro can't be the man again. So if either of those guys are going to be real low owned, like, I like playing them and then coming back with whatever low owned charger there is. So if everyone's decided like Keenan based on best ball is dusty and old, maybe we play Keenan as our bring back. Or conversely, if like everyone's decided Mike Williams was flash in the pan from last season, like, let's play Mike Williams. So I kind of like attacking like sneaky game stacks, sneaky parts of popular games as my sub stacks.
So I'm looking here at the optimizer rate on Run the Sims, and they have, this is about what in my head I would have put him at. They have Devontae Adams optimizer rate at 7.6%, based on, the current base projections they have in there. Do you think, I mean, there's not a chance in hell Devontae Adams will be below 7.6% ownership, right? He'll be way above that.
I'm guessing he will, but probably not a ton above that. He's 8,100, which is probably the highest, if not the second or third highest. I'm guessing he's the highest priced wide receiver. And so that will keep him lower just from a construction standpoint.
Gotcha. I just off the top of my head, I've done literally zero research. I would have guessed 12 to 15% would have been the ownership I put him at.
Yeah, and as we get closer to, it may go up, but I mean, that is a popular game. He's a popular wide receiver in a new offense, so I can see him getting some steam. But I would guess he's higher than 7%, and that's probably just a pass for me generally.
Gotcha.
There's better spots, I'm guessing.
Well, I guess if we're already going to preview this game, let's just skip over and talk about it real quick. The KC Arizona game.
Fuck, yeah, this is the game, right?
This is the game. This is the game. This is the game. I wish it were earlier in the day, so if that game hits or doesn't hit, it'd be easier to pivot in the afternoon, make some late swaps, but you basically are going all in, saving a ton of your spots in your lineup for this afternoon game.
And this gives you a huge opportunity, right? So this is the exact opportunity where you should be thinking about this ahead of time. If you've built your Chiefs stacks or you've built your Kyler stacks for Arizona, you need to be coming in with the plan of, whatever my 1 o'clock happens. If my 1 o'clock smashes, I'm going to keep my Kansas City and Arizona stacks. But if my 1 o'clock doesn't smash, and I mean truly smash, because this will be the highest owned game on the slate, like, you need to be having all flames in your roster. You can't even have a non-flamed player. Mm-hmm. But if you've smashed your 1 o'clocks, keep your KC Arizona stacks. But you need to be coming into the roster lock ahead of time, knowing that if my 1 o'clocks haven't absolutely smashed, I am pivoting to, and now you need to look at these other games. And so I'm guessing the lowest owned is going to be the Giants, Tennessee, that we haven't gone yet, but that's just shit from a over-under standpoint of only 43. So I'm guessing Green Bay, Minnesota will be that sneaky, still has potential game, right? And so sometimes those games get steamed because, that's like the quick analysis we just did. Lots of other players can do. And so sometimes it takes second and third level thinking, but you should still be having those thoughts before the roster ever locks of what you're going to do if you don't smash your 1:00 plays.
Which side do you like more, KC or Arizona stack?
I am actually super excited to see Kyler this season. He's one of my highest owned players in best ball. That said, I think the Chiefs are going to absolutely come out and light the world on fire. I think they feel like they have a lot to prove. I'm probably equally going to – these will probably be – if I only play 2 quarterbacks, these will probably be it. I'm guessing I'll play a third quarterback this weekend.
Carson Wentz. You'll play Carson Wentz. Gotcha.
I'll
Carson
probably play one vomit stack, but honestly, even those stacks will probably have a fairly heavy flavoring of this game as the sub stack.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just jazzed about this game. Neither of these teams really play defense.
This is a game that I'm so happy to run my secondary stack through. Like I would run a 3-team secondary stack off of this. Like I would be so happy running, Sky Moore and Travis Kelce and bringing it back with even like a Rondell Moore or something like that if I need some savings.
Yeah, I think that's totally right. Although I want to see if Rondell's going to be healthy week 1, but I get your point.
Right,
that's 100%.
Ertz is going to be so popular. God, he's going to be so popular.
And I'll be playing 0 of them. You know what? I'm not even sure if Ertz is going to get out there. And if he doesn't, and to anyone that watches this or has watched some of our other best ball streams, I love Trey McBride. If Trey gets to go the run week 1, I will promise you he will be in no less than 25% of my lineups at less than 3% rostership. So Trey McBride, when Ertz doesn't get to play, y'all need to play the shit out of Trey McBride.
Yeah, as of Saturday, it says his calf for week 1, questionable.
Yeah,
that would be huge. All right, last game. We're almost to an hour. Let's get through this last game. Let's power through it. Last one. Giants and Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, I am a big dog player when the field doesn't like the big dog, and I don't know what it'll be like this week, but with a ton of options and $8,600 salary, this may be one of your early season opportunities to play big dog at sub 5%. And if there's ever an opportunity to play Derrick Henry sub 5%, like you just need to do that.
So his lack of pass catching doesn't scare you off at all?
No, I mean, he is like the only guy that can get there, one almost exclusively on the ground. But this offense, like what is this offense going to do? Are they going to throw to Treylon Burks and Robert Woods? I mean, I guess they are because they don't have anyone else to throw to. But I imagine this offense, if it's going to score points, it's Derrick Henry doing the scoring.
Right. All right, man.
And anytime he's low owned, and that's the reason I won't play Derrick at high ownership, right? If he gets into that even above 8 plus 10, whatever ownership, I'm usually out on Derrick at that point because he does need to hit his ceiling. He has a much tighter range of outcomes, and hitting his ceiling is harder for him because he doesn't catch a lot of passes, but he still has that absolute insane ceiling. And so when he's low owned, I'll always take a chance on him being able to put that ceiling up. And you're telling me that the fearful Giants are going to be the ones to stop Derrick Henry? Hey, I mean, he's a grown-ass man playing against.
You watch your mouth about the Giants. By the way, Wan'Dale Robinson, is he going to be the highest owned player on this slate?
Yeah, he might just be because he's mispriced. He's been hyped in the offseason. I don't know that they're going to have other healthy pass catchers, and he's the stone man. So
by the way, I just realized Derrick Henry is priced higher than Christian McCaffrey. What the fuck are we doing? What are we doing, DraftKings? Get the fuck out of here.
Exactly. And that's why he may be 5% again. And at 5%, I'll be getting my 15% or 20%.
By the way, Run the Sims only has Wan'Dale Robinson at 1.6 optimizer rate. So if he's in 30% of lineups, that would be the hardest fade of all time if you trust the optimizer.
That's because they're still assigning a large percentage of playing. They're assuming Galladay's going to play, Tony's going to play, and Shepard's going to play. They have him as the 4th wide receiver in terms of getting shares. They only have him getting a 10% market share. So if you go down to the do-it-yourself optimizer, you can see their assumptions. And right now their assumptions for him is only a 10% target share. And so that's the really nice thing once you get into this tool, and we'll do it in other videos. But when you go into the do-it-yourself simulator, you can adjust all the assumptions. And so we could say, Wan'Dale's going to get a 30% assumption and then rerun it. And I'm guessing his optimal rate is significantly more than 1 point whatever percent.
Right. Yeah, he definitely is. All right. That's it, guys. We made it just under an hour. This has been the Degenerate 75. We're going to start doing this every Tuesday. Me and John are. We're going to break it down. We do way more of these over on the Discord for our members over there, but this is a general preview to kind of get you salivating for the week ahead. I will be doing Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football Showdown, Hoedown every Monday and Thursday. I'll be doing a free YouTube show every Saturday night, so check all those out. Also, don't forget Degen75. If you're interested in Run the Sims, it will get you 10% off. It's good for you. Come check it out. I do college football, and you know I fucking do golf. So golf starts back next week with the Fortnite, and we can finally be over this NFL season when real sports get back with the Fortnite. So in the meantime, I appreciate you checking this out. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope to see you again. I hope you enjoy my outro.